Hours away from the playoffs. Which do you have more confidence in, the Texans coaching or the quarterback play? Let's go inside the locker room.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey. Locker room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too. Landlocked, got the game in the headlock. Localize every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not too. Plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days, opinions to give, we got takeaways. If it's up, then it's up. We number one. You don't need to.
It is the locker room, number one source for Texans digital content. I am Landry Locker. You can see me here throughout the week. I'll be on the scene tomorrow at the game. And I want to ask this question. I want to start off this edition by asking the question: which do you feel most confident about when it comes to the Texans? Do you feel most confident about the head coach, or do you feel most confident about the quarterback? That's the question that I have today. What do you feel the most confident about? I'll be honest. I feel good about D'Amico Ryans. I feel good about what D'Amico Ryans has going for him. I think D'Amico Ryans, when it comes to getting the defense ready, I think D'Amico Ryans will do a solid job. Quarterback, I think CJ Stroud is kind of at the mercy of his surroundings. And y'all know what I'm talking about. Little Bobby Slowick action. And I think he's also at the mercy of one of the worst offensive lines in all of football. Based on that, I got to say that I feel better about D'Amico Ryans, but there is the elephant in the room, Bobby Slowick. Do you trust Bobby Slowick to be able to do his thing? Do you trust Bobby Slowick to be able to get the job done? I do not. I just watched a Texas Longhorns lose a game. Steve Sarkisian struggles in the red zone. 90th 2 years ago, 95th this season for the second straight season on the national stage. They come up short, and the struggles in the red zone are on display. And I don't think that Bobby Slowick is as good of a play caller as Steve Sarkisian. I think that's very, very safe to say that he is not as good of a play caller as Steve Sarkisian.
Damn it, Bobby.
I think we can all agree with that. D'Amico Ryans is the guy that I trust the most. What the hell was that? I have no idea what Steve Sarkisian was doing. No idea what he was doing. I was on in Kansas City today, out there on the Chiefs flagship. Carrington Harrison, I think he's one of the best radio hosts in the entire country. And he just said this kind of matter of fact. And I found this pretty interesting because this is a guy who, they're obviously on a throne in Kansas City. They're feeling themselves football royalty right now. They are the standard. And I was on with him, and he just kind of said it matter of factly. Like it was almost like he said that the sky was blue. But he said, yeah, the Chargers, they have the better coach, they have the better quarterback, and they have the better defense. And I'm not going to lie, I don't think it's a stretch to say that Jim Harbaugh is a better coach than D'Amico Ryans. The experience alone and what he's done with that experience, they warn him that respect to where that can be said with no pushback. Now, does that mean that you don't have faith in D'Amico Ryans? No, but I think he has earned that respect. Quarterback situation, I think CJ Stroud and Justin Herbert are similar. I think Justin Herbert has better surroundings. But if we're just going by this season, I would say that it's not too far-fetched to say that Justin Herbert is better than CJ Stroud. Does that mean he'll play better than him? I don't know. Is it like a massive mismatch? No. But I think that's fair to say. The defense is where I kind of disagree. Because I think this Texans defense is really, really good. They obviously have a missing element with how valuable the nickel's been. But that front seven, I think they have the best edge duo in the NFL. I think they have one of the best corners in the NFL, if not the, in Derek Stingley. And I think Kamari Lassiter provides them with one of the better cornerback duos in the entire NFL. And for the first time all season, they have a fully healthy front seven, including the linebacking core. And oh, by the way, they also have a ball hawking safety in Kalen Bullock, who has looked like one of the better picks in the previous draft. So what exactly does that mean, though? If we're talking about the two most important things being the quarterback and the head coach. If I have no issue sitting there and taking a back seat to, okay, Harbaugh's the better coach and Herbert's the better quarterback, but the Texans have the better defense, what does that mean? I think that it's possible that DeMeco Ryans could make Justin Herbert look bad. I think it's possible that the Chargers end up looking one-dimensional. I think DeMeco can hold his own and cancel out the Chargers offense and however good that quarterback is. I don't really know that the Chargers really even have to worry that much about the Texans offense outside of Nico Collins. If the Texans offense is going to look good, it's going to have to be because Nico Collins and Joe Mixon do their thing. I think for how absolute that was said, I still think this is a good matchup, and there's a reason that the line is just 3 right now. Speaking of which, let's take a look at that line. BetUS promo code YouTube 150. You'll get 150% bonus up to $2,000 just in time for the playoffs by using the promo code YouTube 150. We're up to 2,600 for the year with the account, so we're looking pretty good. If we're looking at the lines right now, where they are, right now you have Minnesota -2 against the Rams. That game's going to be in Arizona. And you have the Texans Chargers. Right now, it is a 3-point line, which I'm not in love with. But I will do this. This will be my bet. I will take the Texans over 19.5 points. Because as bad as the offense is,
damn it, Bobby,
you got to score 19 points, right? Famous last words. We'll put 220 on that. See how that goes. And then the big bet, and I think I've already made this bet, actually. So the limit might be a little low, but this is the big bet that I like in this game. And this is something that I've been begging for a while. I'm going to take Joe Mixon over 3.5 catches because I just think that Joe Mixon, you don't even have to see it. I'll take it. Whatever the max is, I'm going to take that because I just don't think that there's any way in hell that in this situation, Bobby Slowick, as bad as he's been, I don't think there's any way that Joe Mixon can score or cannot be a factor in this pass game. Now, I say all that, and maybe I'm underestimating the stubbornness and the lack of grasp of Bobby Slowick, but I just don't see that happening. I just can't really imagine that. 3.5 catches, I got to get that. You got to give me 4 catches from Joe Mixon. You got to do that for me, Bobby.
Damn it, Bobby.
Got to figure that out. That's got to happen. But I would say if the Chargers do have the advantage, I think there's X factors that can kind of cancel that out. But I wouldn't be too worried about that. Evan says, I can't wait for the excuses for when LA loses. I don't think there's going to be excuses. But yeah, I think it'll be pretty clear why they do lose. CJ won't let the Texans down like Ewers. Too soon, my friend. Too soon. Kick says Mixon hasn't been a factor in the last 4 games, and I agree with you. And that's the problem that I have. He means Mixon, obviously. I know what you mean. But that's the thing. The reason he hasn't been a factor is because there's such a boneheaded nature to Bobby Slowick that he sits there and he talks about how they miss Tank Dell and how they miss Stephon Diggs, but he doesn't find other ways to overcome those absences. If in training camp they were making an effort to get Joe Mixon involved in the pass game, why did that all of a sudden go away? If you know you can't run the ball, but you know how important Joe Mixon is to your team, why are you not trying to get him involved? They tried to do it early against Miami. There was a game earlier this year. I forget where it was. It was the first play of the game. It was a perfect play call by Bobby Slowick. Joe Mixon was in the slot. He dropped the ball. Probably would have been like a 15, 20-yard gain, if not more. So maybe I'm kind of pushing back on what I'm actually saying because Bobby Slowick has just been so dense and so unable to do what anyone with eyes obviously sees that he should be able to do. But I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt, and I'm assuming that now that the playoffs are here, that he's going to get his head out of his ass and figure it out. And it's the same thing with Steve Sarkisian. If you were following me on Twitter during the game today, I've been saying this for weeks, months, whatever. Get Jaden Blue the ball as a receiver, please. It's obvious that he knows how to catch, and there's a different element. There's a reason that whenever you need something to go down, you go to him. He had 2 touchdowns receiving today, and they didn't really use him. They got to the red zone, and they called perhaps the worst play call I've ever seen in my life. Made the Watt Cat look like a Sean McVay special. But I just don't understand why Joe Mixon is not a part of this pass game, especially if you're not able to run the ball. It'd be one thing if Joe Mixon in this offensive line is just completely mowing folks over. But they're not. So you find other ways to get the guy involved. Your wide receivers are hurt. The guys behind them don't make plays. So why not use Joe Mixon? It's maddening that hasn't happened. And he's got to be a factor tomorrow. And they need to add that new element. And if you're going to throw these little bubble screens, let's throw them to Mixon and let's throw them to Deontay Johnson. I'll die a happy man if I don't see another Robert Woods bubble screen for the rest of my life. If I want to see a Robert Woods screen, I'll go watch USC highlights from a long time ago. I'll watch him when he was with the Rams. I don't need to see the ghost of Robert Woods on bubble screens anymore. I don't know what you think is going to happen there, but it's not going to be much. And we've seen a couple fumbles with it too now. So use your biggest playmaker. You talk about how good Joe Mixon is. We even asked you about him as a receiver. Y'all claim that you like what he does in that area. Let's use it in the playoffs. Everything else going on makes it just make too much sense. And this has been my plea of the week. This is my plea of the week. Doyle says Henry Harris, Al-Shaair are underrated. I guess, but we haven't seen them play together. I like that linebacking crew. I think Henry To'o has played better than most people expected. Christian Harris seems like he's kind of finding his groove after being injured. Azeez, he's been solid. You're going to get those guys together for the first time this year. We'll see how that is. I mean, really, the good news is I don't think the Chargers are like some extreme running threat. You can make them one-dimensional. Then it goes down to what does Greg Roman look like as opposed to Bobby Slowick? Because I think Greg Roman is a type that if there is some sort of element that they could add, he's going to get it done. We don't trust Bobby Slowick. And that's kind of the X factor. Because you talk about D'Amico Ryans and you talk about CJ Stroud and you talk about those important things that you need when it comes to the two most important elements, the two faces of the franchise. Both of those things can get held down by the same thing. Bobby Slowick, who might not have much to work with either. But that's just another thing. They also need to get a diverse skill set of running backs. That would be nice. Like, get some running backs that are receiving threats. Dare Gumbawale doesn't count. I know he does a good job on special teams, but come on. You don't want to bring in Dare Gumbawale in crunch time. That just doesn't do anything for anyone. Joe Mixon out of the backfield, that works. So make that happen. Danny says CJ's lack of toughness and fight is pathetic. What are you basing that on, my friend? You basing that on this year? You based on him looking kind of defeated, kind of tired this year? I don't know, like the toughness. I don't know where the toughness is getting. I don't know what the toughness is getting questioned for. I think he's played through some injuries. I don't fight. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what he looks like tomorrow. I mean, this is the time where you flip the switch. This is the time where they lost to Jim Harbaugh in Michigan, and CJ Stroud came out and had the game of his life against Georgia. Much better weapons, though. They had a pretty good squad. Jackson Smith and Jigba, Marvin Harrison, although JSN didn't play. Buka, they had a squad. But we'll see how it goes. Johnny Lambo, shout out to you, my friend. He says, man, what a fumble of an opportunity that Texas game was. I'm so pissed right now. Props for coming on, Landry. Yeah, I didn't feel like it, I'll be honest. I've already talked to my dad on the phone about 3 times since the said my piece on that. Just very thankful I don't have to watch Quinn Ewers quarterback my squad anymore. Seems like a good young man. Seems like a really nice guy. Very glad I don't have to watch him quarterback my squad anymore. Danny says it's the body language, the CJ Stroud body language when they're down. It wasn't like that last year. That's what's interesting. It was the same system. It was less cohesiveness on the offensive line. It was the same play caller.
Damn it, Bobby.
And there were games where you just really couldn't count him out. I remember CJ threw the interception against Cincinnati, and then he led the drive with the Amendola field goal, the Tampa Bay game. Couldn't really count him out last year. This year's been a little bit different. I mean, the body language definitely looks different. There's times where he looks exhausted. He looks tired at the podium. He's talked about having fun. He's talked about being banged up. So, yeah, it is there. Max says 16 hours, ladies and gentlemen, 16 hours. That's a hell of a math by you, but you're correct. 16 hours till playoff time. Going to be fun. Sid says CJ's about to explode in the playoffs. We'll see how that goes. Marcus is an Aggie fan who's glad that Texas lost. Good for you, sir. Enjoy that one. It's a nice dub for you. Put the horns down and enjoy that. B Yin Yang says Slowick was calling plays at the goal line for Texas. I don't know. That was Steve Sarkisian. There's a reason they were 90th 2 years ago in red zone offense and 95th. That's Steve Sarkisian. I know he dresses nicely. I know does a good job of being like a face of the franchise and all that crap. That was definitely Steve Sarkisian. That was what that was. So, yeah. Lack of line protection and poor play calling does take a little toll, I guess. Yeah, there's probably a lot of reasons with CJ. Now, does he feel a little bit more revived in the playoffs? That's where we'll get to determine if that happens. Doesn't seem like too many people believe that's going to happen. Chargers are a popular pick right now. But here's the other thing. And this is kind of like how I explained to some Texans fans. I've talked to some Texans fans today. At the mall. I actually ran into some listeners. Shout out to John, and I think his name was Steven. They were locker room guys I saw at the mall, and they were talking about how the Chargers aren't world beaters, and they think that was it Steven? I think it was Sean. Was it Sean? Whatever your guys' names are. Nice to meet you. I remember John. Did not remember something with an S. It was Steven. But they were talking about, the Chargers aren't world beaters and nobody's giving the Texans respect. And it seems like nobody's picking the Texans and all that. And here's my thing. I agree with you on that. But I think the reason why people are picking against the Texans has more to do with the Texans than it does the Chargers. I don't think anyone like next week when the Chargers face the Chiefs or whoever they end up facing, I don't think too many teams are going to be saying, well, the Chargers are dangerous. Look out for the Chargers. I just think there's a lack of respect for the way that the Texans have performed and the way that they've looked to where that's where the disrespect is coming from. And I think we can all relate to this. We've watched every single snap of the Texans. We've been frustrated with this team. And it feels like we've slowly been looking up and seeing this ceiling drop and drop and drop and drop. Beauty of it is in the playoffs, the switch can flip. And when you have a really good defense, as we said, when you have the best edge duo in the league, you have a bunch of bodies in the front seven, you have one of the more underrated cornerback duos in the league, you have a chance. But this isn't about the Chargers. This is about the Texans. If people thought that this Texans offense was efficient, they wouldn't be saying this. And there's not like some sort of bias against the Texans. I keep hearing, well, they just hate the Texans. They hate the Texans because of how they've played this year. That's why they hate the Texans. At the start of this season, the Texans were the toast of the league. The Texans were getting their praises sung like crazy. Texans haven't been relevant enough for people to hate. People hate the Chiefs. People hate the Cowboys because of the 90s. People hated the Patriots. There's no agenda where people hate Houston. The reason why people are low on the Texans is because they've been on a mediocre treadmill for 2 decades. They've never been to the conference championship. And this year they didn't play well. They've got a chance, though. They got an elite defense. Now, how much will they miss the nickel? Who knows? They've got an elite overseer of the defense. Like, we're sitting here and we're talking about CJ Stroud. Is CJ Stroud elite right now? The answer is no. Is Justin Herbert elite right now? The answer is no. Jim Harbaugh, his resume is elite when it comes to in-game coaching. This would be the first time he's lost in the wild card round. It's never happened. But the Texans defense is elite. It's potentially elite, especially in this type of situation. And I don't know whether this is true or not. They talk about offense winning championships, defense winning championships. A lot of people believe it starts in the trenches. There's a chance the Texans offense gets roughed up. But there's a really good chance that the Texans defense roughs up that Chargers offense. So if you want to hang your hat on something, hang your hat on that. Texans defense is not a joke. I don't think people are really like paying as much attention to that. It's not a joke. They haven't had their linebackers together all year. That's something new we're going to see. That's something new we're going to see. You wish that you had Jimmy Ward or Jalen Petrie. You don't have that. You haven't seen these linebackers together. You haven't seen this D-line fully healthy. Foley Fatukasi playing. Tim Settle playing. Danico Autry playing. Will Anderson playing. Daniil Hunter playing. Will Anderson banged up for a large portion of the season. Iced up last week. Christian Harris, iced up last week. Joe Mixon, iced up last week. Played one series. CJ Stroud said he was banged up. Iced up last week. So would it surprise me if the Texans go out there and lose? No. But it's about them. It's not about the Chargers. Nobody thinks the Chargers are like have crazier things have happened than the Chargers making some sort of run. But nobody's picking the Chargers because they think the Chargers are good. Everybody, there's no one that's doing that. They're doing it because of the Texans. And with what we've seen, that thought, that reputation, it's been earned. But the slate is wiped clean in this situation. So we'll see what happens. Here's the other thing. And Nick says, I'm fairly confident we can beat the Chargers, but this team/offense isn't built to play in the sloppy North still. That's a future worry for me. Look, if you're going to Kansas City, nobody's picking the Texans to beat the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs haven't even peaked yet, which is crazy to say because they've lost one legit game. Last week, they weren't really trying to win. They haven't even incorporated Hollywood Brown into their offense. Whatever the over-under for receiving yards is for Hollywood Brown in the Chiefs divisional round game, I'm taking the over. I don't care what it is. So, yeah, I agree with that. But here's the other thing that I think the Texans have kind of been in a weird spot with. The other thing that I think the Texans have kind of been in a weird spot about is I think they're pretty paranoid. And I say that because I think they're really, really worried about showing things. And I don't know if this is kind of the Caserio factor. I don't know if this is the D'Amico factor, but they have like that blowhard element of whether it's injuries, whether it's like game plan talk or whatever. They have that real blowhard, hardo coaching meathead type of notion to not want to show things. And that's probably more normal. It's probably just me being more close to this situation to where I'm even talking about it. But the point I'm trying to make is for the last 3 weeks, and this is why we kind of got in a little bit of a sleepwalk the last 3 weeks. For the last 3 weeks, we've pretty much known the Texans' fate. We've pretty much known the Texans' fate. We've known that the Texans were not going to get the 2 seed. We've known that the 3 seed really didn't mean much, and it really wasn't that much of a difference. And we knew that the Texans won the AFC South, the dog-butted AFC South that everyone likes to speak on. So as a result of that, when you get Christian Harris back, when you get Azeez Al-Shire back, when you're functioning on offense, how much do you really want to show? Like, how much do you really want to show? When they faced the Baltimore Ravens, and it was an ass-ugly loss, and they were trying to win, but a loss actually benefited them more so than a win. They're not dumb. They know that. They don't want to face Baltimore in the first round. Like, if they would have beaten the Ravens, that would have given them a chance to where they face Baltimore in the first round. Nobody wants that. Although now they don't have Zay Flowers, so it looks a little bit different. But in the first round, all things equal, you don't want to face the Ravens. The week after that, what are you really going to show? So maybe this coaching staff, the defense, the offense, maybe they just really haven't been able to show things. Maybe we see some new stuff that we haven't seen tomorrow. Maybe we see some formations. Maybe we see Joe Mixon more involved in the pass game. Maybe we see linebacker blitzes. I think that there is an element to that. Because what the hell were they gonna do 2 weeks ago against the Titans? They didn't do anything crazy. Last week, I should say. What were they going to do the week before that? I don't know, but I don't think they were going to do too much. So that's really where I'm at with this. Am I overly confident? No, but I don't think that they've really. I think they've been sleepwalking. Now, is there a chance we see something and it's like, what in the F are these idiots doing? This is what you're saving? Yes, there's a good chance.
Damn it, Bobby.
But I don't think they've been throwing all their chips on the table the last few weeks. And I mean, look at it. Like the way we cover this team, it's every day. Shout out to Cody Stutes, SNL, Landry Locker, Cody Stutes. Be sure to subscribe to that channel. Couple thousand deep. But you can feel like how much of a sleepwalk that the end of this season has been. Like, do you think the Texans are going to come out and like do like some two-back stuff the last 3 weeks? Hasn't been anything like that at all. Be yin yang. Anyone going to Kirby Ice House to watch the game tomorrow? How about that? Shout out to Kirby Ice House. I'm going to the game. Big Kirby Ice House fan though. Big Kirby Ice House fan. Both of them really. Be yin yang also on the super swarming the soup.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
Do you think CJ was watching the game? I think Bucks winning will hype him up and give more confidence for CJ for the game tomorrow. McDonald's breakfast wrap, underrated. Yeah, McDonald's breakfast burritos are nice. You can eat those on the go. The picante sauce, I'm with you on that. Of course, he was watching the Buckeyes game. I'm pissed about it. Cade Stover was too. It's talking crap to him. Now I got to deal with a bunch of BS. Doyle, respect is earned. Texans offense hasn't earned ish. Fact. Begin again. Texans defense equals McDonald's breakfast wrap. Okay. Low key. Okay. Can feel that. You know, I like a good fast food analogy. Do you think Harris will play more of a Petrie role? No, I don't think. I don't think they're going to line him up at nickel to where he'll be in the slot. I do think we're going to see a lot of stuff. I do think D'Amico's excited about this Petrie and Harris thing, and he said something the other day that I thought was interesting. It was something along the lines of like, "Well, you'll see different looks," and it was almost like he was saying more looks. D'Amico hadn't shown his cards yet, and he hasn't been able to. But, I think we're finally going to see probably like a little bit of NASCAR package stuff where maybe you have Autry, Anderson, Hunter, maybe even Barnett in there, or Settle, or Foley Fatukasi. Like, you're gonna see a lot of stuff on defense. D'Amico can F up Justin Herbert. Do I think D'Amico can F up Patrick Mahomes? Like schematically, I don't know that anyone can just F up Patrick Mahomes schematically. If you want to beat Patrick Mahomes, it's going to have to be because your ends beat their offensive line's ass. And the Chiefs right now, their offensive line is struggling. It is hanging by a thread, despite the fact they got the receivers. So if you beat Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, it's going to be because your guys up front beat their offensive line's ass. I think in this situation, you can not only beat their offensive line's ass, and they got some good young tackles. Their interior is not that great. But I also think D'Amico Ryans can make Justin Herbert's life somewhat miserable. So I think there's that factor to it. Am I talking myself into the Texans winning? I don't know. I don't know about that. But I do think, like, we saw it with Josh Allen, and Josh Allen was shorthanded. He didn't have Shakir. Amari Cooper wasn't there yet. So, but D'Amico made him look bad. Same style kind of quarterback. Harbaugh plus Roman versus D'Amico and Bobby is a huge mismatch. I would agree with you. The experience and then the offensive coordinator. You can't even compare Bobby Slowick and Greg Roman. We talked about this earlier this week. You have to beat the refs to beat Mahomes. That definitely happened with the Texans. They got screwed. They should have been up 2 possessions, and that ref called they just completely took the game away. It's a fact. Happened in that game. If we win, I hope we go to Arrowhead. That game seems more winnable than Baltimore or Buffalo. I mean, none of them seem like overly winnable, but yeah. If CJ outplays Herbert, is he top 5 in the AFC? No. CJ's not top 5. No, he's not. Show low, man. I didn't know Ladd had the 4th best win rate versus man coverage as a rookie wide receiver in NFL history. That's crazy. Yeah, the win rate stuff, it's cool. It sticks out. I don't know what it is. The offensive line stuff's interesting too, like how they talk about win rate and all that. Like, it just seems like there's so many variables of that for that stat to matter. Like Laramie Tunsil's an all-pro. Okay, like Laramie Tunsil being an all-pro, like if you watch him every play, like there's some people who carry his water. That's fine. I just like when I think of Laramie Tunsil being an all-pro, first of all, I think that the unique manner in which he kind of carries himself, like kind of all business. And I've asked him about this when we've interviewed him on the radio. I think that's an interesting thing for an offensive lineman. And the other thing is, I think some offensive linemen, like their energy is felt throughout the entire unit. I don't think that's the case with Laramie. And I don't know that everyone else can have that same type of energy as Laramie. Like, pick up hoops, one of my favorite passions for a long, long time. There was always that jackass who he wasn't playing team defense. He was basically a black hole. And you would end up running him off the court and you would win 12-5. He'd score 5 points and he'd say, my man didn't score. That's what I think of when I think of Laramie Tunsil being a Pro Bowler. That's what I think of. When I think of Laramie Tunsil. I think of the pickup dude whose man didn't score, who scored 5 in a 12-5 ball game. I'm sure there's like some other elements to that. I know, very well respected. That's how I look at it. Hope Deontay helps us out tomorrow. Someone's former greatness showing up would be epic. That'd be sick. Do you trust Bobby to get him incorporated quickly? Don't know. We haven't really seen CJ and him on the same page. But I think that's more hopeful than expecting like Xavier Hutchinson and John Mechie to have like beginning to end good games. Don't hate that. If CJ beats Herbert, he would be top 5 in the AFC after Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Joe. Who else? I don't know. I mean, if he beats Herbert, does that mean he's like automatically better than him? Is that how it works? I don't really know. You think he's top 5 in the AFC? Sure. I mean, maybe. I mean, maybe I was too quick to dismiss that. I don't know. I think Herbert's better regardless of what happens tomorrow. But I guess if you want to give him the crown, you can give him the crown. All right, Allen. I guess CJ's better than Tua. We got to give him that. He's better than Lawrence. And maybe I quickly dismissed that. Don't know. Like, but based on that, does that mean like if Denver upsets Buffalo somehow, does that mean Bo Nix is better than Josh Allen? Like, these are kind of like imaginary crowns for sure. Jerome says Herbert's been overrated to him. There's been times where he has, and there's been times where he's underrated. I actually think he's been underrated this year. I think he's been underrated this year. I think when you look at what Herbert's done, he's a little bit underrated. But there have been times. I mean, he was supposed to be the next big thing. But who knows? Engineer says, who cares about Stroud being top 5? He's going to be a Hall of Fame QB if he wins another playoff game in his second year. Can't tell if that's sarcasm or if there's more to that. Rick says LT's body is failing him, but he has all pro skills. It's time for him to train up his replacement. Laramie Tunsil, the one thing I'll give him credit for, he does take care of his body. I can't say that about everyone else on the offensive line. But it looks like he's kind of trimmed up. Like for whatever Laramie Tunsil's doing, he definitely takes care of his body. I got to give him that. Your body naturally kind of gets a little bit banged up. He's missed less practice this year, but hey, there's some guys who idolize him in certain ways and kind of try to act like him that don't have as much talent. But if the one thing that if I were looking to idolize Laramie Tunsil, whatever the hell he's doing with his diet and everything like that, he does a damn good job of that. Pause, kinda, but y'all kind of get what I'm saying there. Fairbairn legacy game needed. Courtesy of Cabinet Doc. I don't want to say I'm nervous when Fairbairn kicks now, but I'm definitely not overly confident. Started out with like the season, there was a lot of praise, there was a lot of hype. I kind of feel like they were settling for 50-yard field goals, which was kind of weird. But yeah, it doesn't feel the same. Daniel says, are we questioning if the S2 is right on CJ if he can't dissect the Chargers? Here was my thing with the S2, and I said this from the jump. I said this from the very beginning with the S2 with CJ. I don't know what the hell that test is. I'd never heard of it before last year, so I don't know what to make of it. I remember when they used to talk about the Wonderlic, there were examples of guys who took it and sucked, and there were took it and performed poorly and sucked, and there were guys who took it, did bad, and were Hall of Famers like Dan Marino. So I never knew what the S2 test was. I had no idea what that was, so I didn't really know how to react to it. I also thought it was weird that the S2 last year, heading into the playoffs, waited to say that maybe the CJ results were bad. So I didn't understand that whole thing. I will say, in watching the Texans this year, it does feel like at the line of scrimmage that they don't see certain things. And either it's the offensive line or the quarterback. But a lot of times there's a cornerback blitz that it seems like a lot of quarterbacks see that isn't seen. There's a basic stunt that isn't seen. Maybe there's not as many hot options. Maybe there's not as much of a dump-off option. But it does not feel like at the line of scrimmage, pre-snap, it could be systematic or whatever, the Texans run as smoothly as most of the offenses I watch. And that's even in college. But as far as the test, I never knew what it was, so I never really made that much of a big deal about it. Fifth Ward Texans. That's crazy. S2's coming up. That's wild. CJ's in the same boat as Lawrence. Yeah, I mean, he's closer to Lawrence than he is Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. Yeah, I mean, he's in the playoffs for the second year. He's not a coach killer. Trevor Lawrence is going to be playing for his third coach. He wasn't heralded as the next big thing and a can't miss prospect. You haven't gotten to where you pay him yet. So I would say he's above Trevor Lawrence, but yeah, he's probably closer to Trevor Lawrence than he is Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. But a playoff run can change all that. How do I think the O-line will hold up? Not great. They suck. They suck. Maybe it can be overcome, but I don't think they'll hold up great at all. You got Bosa. You got Khalil Mack. You got other pieces that are extremely underrated. No, I don't think they'll hold up nice at all. I think hopefully there's just not anything like monumental where there's like strip sacks or anything. I don't think it'll be good at all. Classic Dell. I feel as though the Houston Texans are an elite team. They're simply just offensive line. Yeah, offensive line would change a lot. Sauce says he's on that
high-grade marijuana called Kush on the streets.
He says, I got the munchies. Where do I go? What time is it? 12. Could always order pizza. Some of the pizza places close at 2. Stuffed crust pizza from Pizza Hut sounds pretty good. And you get stuffed crust pizza from Pizza Hut so you don't have to leave if you don't want to drive. Some people Uber Eat, you sound like you're ready to go. Stuffed crust pizza from Pizza Hut, can't go wrong. Taco Bell kind of goes in. Get a little like few taco supremes, cheesy bean and rice burrito. Maybe a Mexican pizza or some nachos. They don't execute the nachos as much as they used to. You can always go to Whataburger. They got that Monterey melt back. You can hit that. I don't know if Wendy's is open this late. Can't go wrong with some Wendy's. Get you the nugs. Now the other thing about Wendy's though is they got those like Coke remix soda machines, but I don't think they're open inside, so that kind of sucks. But I would probably just order a stuffed crust pizza from Pizza Hut. Be my go-to. Cane's goes in too. They're open till 3. Can't go wrong with that Cane's. It's just not a lot of options though. He says he's got munchies. Like Cane's is just they kind of decide for you. Jack in the Box is too inconsistent. Jack in the Box would be elite. They're just not consistent. You don't know what you're going to get. If Jack in the Box had like the Chick-fil-A consistency, it would be elite. Jack in the Box monster tacos. Yeah, I mean they go in. You can F up the value menu too with Jack in the Box. But yeah. Grapha 0713 closer to Lawrence. That couldn't be farther from the truth. What closer to Lawrence as well. You think CJ Stroud's closer to Josh Allen than he is Trevor Lawrence? Serious question. Trevor Lawrence is good. He's not great. He's definitely not what we thought he was going to be. But if Trevor Lawrence had come into the league with like the same amount of hype as CJ Stroud, we probably wouldn't, fair or not, we probably wouldn't hold him to the same standards. But you would say with a straight face that CJ Stroud is closer to Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson than he is Trevor Lawrence? I would disagree. Does that mean that that's going to be the case next year? Maybe not. Maybe this is just kind of like an off year. His off year is not as bad as Trevor Lawrence's off years. I get that. I'm not sitting here saying that he's as disappointing. I mean, it's going to be like some sort of coming to Jesus thing. He has a chance to flip the switch in the playoffs and completely change this dialogue. That's the beauty of this and like the fluid nature of sports. But with where we sit right now, with no projections, if you can say with a straight face that CJ Stroud is closer to Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson than he is Trevor Lawrence, okay. I say that. You think that couldn't be further from the truth? We disagree. Whataburger. Oh yeah, that's the other beauty. If you go to Whataburger, it's past 11, so you can get the you can get a taquito. You can throw a taquito in. They brought back the chicken fajita taco too, with that Monterey melt. So you could go get you a number 2, Wada size, half Powerade, half Sprite, light ice, and a sausage, egg, and cheese taquito with extra picante sauce. 5 ketchups too, please, ma'am. Thank you. Please drive through. Total's $14.76, something like that. I don't know. Breakfast on a bun goes in too, but if you're going to get the burger and double it up with the taquito, then you're kind of selling yourself short because then you're getting like 2 sandwiches. That breakfast burger is too much, though. They try to have that breakfast burger. I eat like a fat ass every once in a while. I'm not eating 1,100 calorie breakfast. If I'm going to do that, I'm just going to order the real burger, which, by the way, that's the best time to order a burger from Whataburger. Like, if you're ever like really, really drunk or something and you drive by a Whataburger at like 4, if you just wait till the morning, like 8 a.m. or something, you'll never get fresher Whataburger than in the morning. Yeah, I'm snoozing on Sonic. I'm sorry. It takes too damn long. It takes too damn long. I know they got the drive-thrus. If Sonic were fast, then we get this done. This car hop stuff, we gotta get rid of it. We gotta get rid of it. Just turn into a basic ass drive-through, Sonic. You can do a nice job. Just turn into a basic ass, efficient drive-through, and we'll be good. Give me the extra long cheese coney, maybe some tater tots, something like that. But the car hop system is expired. It's done. There's a lot of things that are done, like Blockbuster's gone. Sonic needs to just completely rewrite what they do. Jerome, getting back to this, I low-key always thought Watson would be as good as Mahomes if he went to KC. Dude should retire now. Houston Watson was closer to Josh Lamar. I agree. If Kansas City drafts Deshaun Watson, who knows where he ends up? I think he probably has better leadership with Andy Reid. I think Andy Reid kind of weeds out the negative influence of Quincy Avery, who I think is the worst influence that Deshaun Watson has had. You'll never convince me otherwise. I think he's latched on, and I think he's poisoned his brain, and now he's too deep in the game to where there's nothing he can really do about it. Sorry for making all y'all hungry. I'm hungry too. But I agree with you on Watson. Watson was great. Year 2, year 3. We were talking about that. For sure. Landry got that munchies menu. Nah, I got it on lockdown there. I might have to hit Whataburger. I might have to get me a number 2. And a taquito. I'm kind of starving my damn self now. Whataburger by me kind of goes hard too. They pretty efficient spot. Can be hit or miss, but it's pretty efficient spot. Going on that. Can't go wrong with McDonald's either if it's open 24/7. Let's be honest. Like people have tried to push it aside. McDonald's goes in. You're going to McDonald's, I get you like what we got, like 15 to spend?
High-grade marijuana called Kush on the streets.
Like you get like a nugget meal. That nugget basket goes into, they got the 20 nugs and the basket of fries. But get like a nugget meal and then get like a McChicken ketchup only and a McDouble. Those used to be $1. It's kind of painful when you see that they're above 2 now. But you get those, kind of go in on that too. Yeah, car hop is a 50s thing. We got to get rid of that. Like it's kind of like fullbacks now. Like every once in a while, that's cool, but like that shouldn't be an every time thing. We got to get rid of the car hop. We got to be more efficient. Yeah, McDonald's breakfast is the best. Everyone try it. Like it's simple, man. Like if you're driving in the whip and you have the McDonald's breakfast, it's just simple. Like you can eat it right there. It's good. The biscuit, the burritos, like there's no BS. It's kind of compact together. Everyone tries to talk like breakfast tacos. It's not as filling. Don't even need the hash brown. Their coffee game is nice. Yeah, you can't go down with that. Can't go down with you can't Dairy Queen, inconsistent, man. Inconsistent. Taco Bell steak quesadilla and bean burritos. Good choice. There you go. Everyone's on it now. Taquito. All right, so he went to the munch show. He's driving and listening. You got the taquito and Monterey melt. Was torn. That bacon. There you go. Shipley's Donuts. No, thank you. I'm good. We're good on that. Playoff time, baby. Let's go. It's the day. We made it to midnight. I didn't think I was going to stream tonight because I was so pissed about Texas, but I feel better. I've moved on. On to the Texans. Now, will we be talking about the end of the season or will we be talking about a matchup with one of the NFL's elites? Only time will tell. Post game tomorrow. I'll be on the scene. If you're at the game, let me know. And always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. Subscribe, like, ride along. Most importantly, always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. Appreciate y'all very, very, very much. Bye-bye.
You don't need to try your luck. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize, every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too.